Is it much different from changing behavior on a dock, right? Not that much different, really, right? So I was remiss earlier. You got a lot of rock stars in the room, but your VP of marketing I've known for a little bit. You guys are fortunate because she is a capital R on Rockstar. So just know that. If you don't do anything else this week, you make sure you get some time with her. Because as you go into 2013, I'm telling you, Batman and Robin, Starsky and Hutch, whatever it looks like, it is good. And she's going to do good things for you guys, all right? Just know that. I know her for a while now. So, does anyone like to dance? Yep. No. Any dancers? I saw a little dancer earlier at the break. Would you come dance with me, ma'am? Can you dance with me for a second up here? You had some really killer moves. Do you mind? Anyone want to, if she doesn't want, I need someone to, I mean, you don't want me to dance by myself, do you? Yeah. No one wants to dance with me? All right, give her a round of applause. I mean, she's really got some explosive moves. You ready? Let's go.
Who's leading?
You, go.
I'm not leading.
Oh, all right, come on.
Okay. You said I could lead.
No, I'm just checking it out. They're so explosive, I wanted to look at it a little bit. All right, how about a little more? Ready?
Okay. You leading? Put this hand behind your back.
You can tell I'm not a good dancer.
Put this hand behind your back.
This is a little country western deal.
Go this way.
I didn't know she was that good. All right, give her a round of applause.
Thanks.
Did that look kind of awkward?
That was the hook, right? On your part.
Oh! Yeah, it was a little bit awkward. I'll own that right now. Let me just own that awkwardness. Well, in some ways, when we walk into a doctor's office, it kind of feels like we're looking for a dance partner, doesn't it? Huh? But when we walk in, do we always know if they can dance or not, what their moves are, whether or not they got some rhythm, right? What does rhythm mean? That they're progressive, that they really want to open the kimono, so to speak, and open to new ideas and paradigms. And if you ever walked into a doctor's office and had to try to have that dance and it looked like that, where you're doing your thing and the doc's just kind of looking at you like, what? Seriously? I mean, really? I don't think so. Right? So we talked a lot about this stuff today, behavior styles, which is all great stuff, Johari window. But ultimately, what is our role as a sales organization? What do we want to do? Sell stuff, right? So I would argue that salespeople have a negative perception, connotation. What do you think? Yeah. I mean, if you go to a cocktail party, barbecue, whatever you go to, clam bake, what do you do in the bayou? Crawfish or something? I mean, whatever, something like that, I don't know. I'm so not Southern, I mean, it's crazy, right? Let me get some of that crawfish, right? So, whatever you do, right? It's Friday, you get out of here, and you roll on up there, and you say to someone, hey, what do you do? I'm a salesperson. Have you ever got the reaction, how they've kind of their body language changes when you say that? Absolutely. What is it? Just give me an example of what that feels like when you say salesperson. Anyone had that, tasted that? What is an example? Yes?
Terrified it's not used to ours.
Yeah. Why do they always take us right to like we're selling Toyotas? Right? All you said was salesperson, and all of a sudden they're like, oh, oof. Right? Why is that?
They probably had experience with that type.
Yeah. They've had a bad experience, so they've just made a universal, right? Yep. All salespeople are all created equal. Is that true?
Nope.
No.
Not in this room, I know, right? Nope. See, I would argue that sales is something you do for someone, not to someone. Is there a difference? Yep. What's the difference? What does it feel like to do something for you versus to you?
Or is service versus taking advantage of.
It's easier on my conscience.
Yeah. And he's wise beyond his years. What do you got, like 30 days left? Exactly. We got Socrates in the house, right? with a little Play-Doh, right? I want to make sure I touch you before I want to get some of that rubbing off on me. But seriously, I mean, has anyone here ever had a bad sales experience where you were the buyer? I mean, not the buyer, you were the customer. So what did it taste like? It tastes like awesome? No.
Bad service versus being taken advantage of.
Yeah, you didn't like it, right? Walked away, it just felt disingenuous. See, I would argue in this industry right now, although it's not as bad as the car industry, there's a lot of folks that you compete or may compete against that don't create an experience that is for you, meaning for you, the customer. It's all about them, right? It's about, obviously you got to make quota, that's like breathing, but at the end of the day they create a climate that it's so obvious that they really could care less about the patient or the doc, right? It's all about them. Do you think he says Abbott, Abbott, right? So do you think just maybe that the docs have the emotional wherewithal to pick that up?
Could be.
I mean, maybe, right? It's not their first rodeo, right? That they kind of pick that up. And see, since we're all creatures of habit, right, most of us, I mean, the hardest thing on the planet, by far, is changing human behavior. It is so tough. I mean, right now, it's approximately on my Rolex that never tells the right time, which is 11:10. It says 11:20, just in case you ever want to waste money on one.
Chinatown? Do you wear it all the time?
Yeah. You know what? I didn't buy it. It was a gift.
Do you wear it all the time?
I do.
Oh, because people
See?
who don't wear them all the time won't keep the time. My mom's a jeweler. I
Still don't. See, him and I know. We had a commit. We bonded earlier. I was looking for that one brave soul that could just say, why doesn't my Rolex work?
Mine's always 5 minutes behind.
See? Yeah, so the point of it is changing human behavior is tough, right? We've got more information right now at our fingertips at any time in our history, don't we? I mean, you can go in Google right now and what? I mean, you could find out probably a soccer game that 8-year-olds are playing in Chile if you wanted to. I mean, not that you have that much time, but if you wanted to, whoop, there it is. So if we've got all this information, right, all this information, why has there a health epidemic right now? I mean, obesity's going up, right?
Yes, it has.
Cholesterol, right? All this stuff. So if I've got all this information, it tells me to eat better, to exercise, all that stuff, and I got it, you know, all that stuff. Why is it such a big deal?
Information is exactly the best influencer.
Yeah, so you've nailed it. Information is never transformation. Just because you give me a bunch of stuff, does that mean I'm all of a sudden going to intuitively figure it out? Like, because I'm a byproduct of my experiences. If I've got 20 years biting down on bad habits or prescribing practices, am I all of a sudden going to come in and change just because you show me some new data? I may, but think about that. What do the gymnasiums or workout places look like in January? Tell me. Is it a little difficult trying to get a treadmill? Isn't it? Yeah. What does it look like in March?
Back to normal.
Back to normal, right? So if you're regular, you kind of pick your times when you go to the gym in January. You wait till all the pretenders fall off, right? And then that's guys who want it. Why is that? Why is that phenomenon between January and March? What do you think? Yeah, I had it all. I was going to get all geeked up. I'm going to be a vegan. I'm going to get my sweat on and get those power guns, you know, where. Yeah, but by March, how do you go from that convicted? I mean, absolutely, right? Got my new workout gear, my fresh Nikes. You know the guy that's all pretty when he goes to the gym? I mean, he looks like he's decked out, right? Shirt's too small, though, so he can show his arms, right? It's like a small, right? Do you know that guy? Right? And then by March, the guy's no longer there. Why?
Went back to his old habits.
Because change is hard. You mean I've actually got to sweat and like work at this thing?
Maybe he bought a Bowflex.
Probably, right? I'm sure he's banging out the Bowflex at home, right? So why is that relevant? Why is that relevant for you in change? 2 reasons, I'll tell you. 2 absolute critical reasons. 1, if you hope to influence the folks in your territory, just know it's tough. But before you ask them or try to influence them, you have got to earn the right. Meaning, are you changing yourself? Are you different? Are you going to be better in 2013 than you are in 2012? And I don't mean just throwing your feet over the bed, giving some positive affirmations and hit a little Tony Robbins video and saying, but I mean at your core. Have you made the conscious decision to say, in 2013, I'm going to change my territory's performance, but first, I've got to change myself and have the emotional intelligence to dig down deep and have the conversation with a mirror and look at it and say, and if you can say it, what's the next question? How? Right? What were you going to say, sir? Socrates?
I was going to say, if I can quote myself, what do I need them for?
Say it louder. I don't think they heard you.
Doing it all by myself, what do I need them for?
Yeah. So, think about that right now. This is a great launch pad for you to walk out of here right now and draw a line in the sand. 2012 and 2013. And in 2013, I'm going to be the best that I ever have, and this is how I'm going to get there. And it's all about state. But you guys can do it. I can feel the energy in the room. There's enough positive energy in this room to light up a football stadium. And it's awesome. Because we're going to keep spreading it, right? But why is all that so important, Devin? I get it, all this mind stuff, all this behavior and Johari and all this stuff. Because ultimately, what do we want to do as salespeople? I know we want to sell something, but ultimately, what do we want to do? Influence, right? Well, influence connotes what? Change. I mean, you don't walk into the doc and go, hey, doc, I'm here today to hopefully influence you, do you? I mean, I'm really influential. Have you noticed? I mean, look at this suit, brother. I mean, it's better than yours, and you went to medical school. You know? You know what I mean? I mean, seriously. I mean, you wasted $200K, dude. Look at this. I mean, you know what I mean? But think about that. Who in here is influential? Who thinks that, you know what? I am a capital I and influential. Anybody? But you all just said it matters. Does it matter or not?
Yeah. Sure. Yes, it matters.
How do we measure it?
How you react. I mean, how you carry yourself and how people react to you.
So this perception thing here is real, huh?
Yeah.
Perception. Do you think the docs are judging you, evaluating you, sizing you up when you walk in?
Yeah. The way you carry yourself.
Oh, she says, so how do you carry yourself, miss? What's your name?
Right here?
No, behind you, I'm sorry. Or you can talk.
No. All right, go behind me.
I mean, does anyone have like a pregame ritual or anything before they, when I was in the field, right, there was always that doc or two that was always the one that was challenging or mean or hated reps. Is that still a phenomenon? Yeah. You got that one guy, everyone knows, oh, dude, stay away from homeboy. He is a ixnay on the rep nay, right? He just hates reps. Anyone know what I'm talking about? Yeah. And you go in and somehow he hired the nastiest receptionist or gatekeeper in North America. I don't know where he put the job description, right? If you're nasty and mean and don't make eye contact, please volunteer to work here, right? So you go and you know what that's like, right? So ultimately that perception, they're judging us all the time, right? See, part of that problem is, though, is that most docs that I've come across, they put all of us in the same bucket. Yeah. All reps are created equal. Is that true? No. But you know what I mean, though? You ever notice that when you sit down, sometimes a conversation will go in a direction, it's almost like Pavlov. The doctor treats you, he treats all the reps exactly the same. Right?
They think we're all pharmaceutical, right?
Yes. And who would want to be that, right? I mean, they only made a movie about the guy. Anyone see that movie? What was it? What was that movie called? Yeah. So they treat us all the same. You think if I threw all you guys out of the room right now, get out of here. I brought in 10 docs. I said, hey doc, does your rep add any value? What would they say? No. Just universally. Yeah, you could some do, some don't, depending. But I would say on average, depending on the experience you create, do we have an opportunity to influence this in 2013? Yes. Do we really?
Yes.
I would say you do. But you know it's going to be tough sledding, because if I've got 20 years, or 10 or 15, of thinking all reps are created equal, just so you know, it may be some bad weather. It may feel hard. He may push back. He is going to push you. But know this, as you work on that, and I found this out the hard way, that when it feels uncomfortable for you, it's a growth moment. The only time we grow as human beings is when it's usually uncomfortable. So know that. And when you get that in your head and you know, wow, there's an opportunity for me to become more, right, improve. So when you're walking back to that car and you want to just accept all that stuff that everyone is saying about that negative office, no, I can't miss this. This is a growth moment. And you own it. And you keep coming back. So we have an opportunity to do that. But just so you know, it could be tough. Now, based on from perception to attitude. You ever had a doc with an attitude? No, not binding style, right? It's like they just hug you when you come in, right?
Most of the time.
Who said most of the time?
Dance partner.
Oh, my dance partner, of course. Well, she's got killer moves, obviously. She's probably got theme music like a superhero too, right? Yeah. So if you had a doc with an attitude, that's what they feel. So if I know that they've got a negative connotation about reps, we try to dance, and you can tell the conversation's not going anywhere real fast. Ultimately, what do we do then? You ever had an opportunity where your attitude, you can just see like a tire, the energy just starts to deflate from you because you know this is not going well? Anyone ever had that experience? Yeah. Socrates, have you had it a few times? After breakfast. Because ultimately we want to influence behavior. So this is interrelated. I mean, this is like human dynamics 101. So I'm ultimately going to challenge you guys here. Can you control the doctor's behavior?
No. You can influence it.
Yeah. So let's talk for a second. What could we do to influence his or her behavior? I mean, let's say fundamentally, let's just make it up. You've got a doc, okay, that you absolutely know that needs what you sell. He's got a patient population. He's busy as all heck. He's been doing the same thing over and over, and you can absolutely critically change patient outcomes in that practice. Can we assume that for a second? Now, he's been doing the same old, biting down on status quo for 20 years. Now, is it hard to change someone's mind occasionally? Yeah. Difficult, right?
Not impossible.
But not impossible. So ultimately, what could we do based on that scenario to create a different perception?
Kill him.
Say it again?
Kill him.
Kill him? Is that one of the sales tools here? You're like this. Look, you roll in the office like this. You got a couple choices, right? I mean, the brochure or the Glock. Choose wisely, my friend, right? I mean, But what do you think you could do?
You can have somebody else tell them.
So you're going to have someone else tell him that what?
He would listen.
Oh, so you're going to use a peer, like a peer influencer, like you're going to leverage another customer that has. What else could we do from perception?
You gotta ask him what ask questions.
All right, so what kind of questions are we going to have? This is a busy doc. Docs don't usually spend, how much time does the average doc spend with you? Just on average.
Find out how to make his life easier.
Bring him a sandwich.
All right. Bring him a sandwich. What if he's a vegan and he brought him turkey? Then what?
Veggie sandwich.
No, because what I'm suggesting to you is here, we got 20 years of the same old stuff. And I'm not putting down everything you just described. But is that any different than what other reps do?
Sometimes.
Maybe, maybe not.
Some are confrontational.
So I'm just challenging you here to think creatively for a second. Right? See, because we're all a byproduct of our experiences. Whether you've worked here 18, what was it, 18? 19. I love you, dude. You're retiring. I keep going to you, man. I love that hair of yours because I got hair envy. So don't, if you feel the bromance, it's not personal, dude. I just need, you know what I mean? Right? But think about that for a second, right? Whether you've been 19 years or you've been here 2 days, we're all creatures of habit, right? So for me to change based on you coming into the office, what might that suggest to me if I'm not really centered and feel good about myself?
That you're wrong.
Yeah.
Likes to be wrong.
And who likes to be wrong? Oh yeah, I've been treating patients inappropriately for the last 6 years. Thank you. I really appreciate you pointing that out to me. Right? I mean, is any doc going to admit that? I mean, certainly some could, but just so you know, that's why it's so valiant. That's why I love you guys, because we have an opportunity to change things, but it is not easy. Does anyone think it's easy out there right now? It's a grind, right? So think about that concept for a second. I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time, but I want you to know that if you are going to be an influencer of his or her behavior, you better be really, really grounded in what you're going to do with your behavior next year. And if you're going to just do the same old next year, that's fine. But guess what? What are the results probably going to look like?
Same old, same old.
Now, that's not magic, folks. So you can go to the gym in January when you get your quota, whatever you get it, right? And you can start doing all those things to change. And by March, are you going to be still putting in the work? Or are you just going to fall back into those slippers that have felt so comfortable your whole career? Because this whole change thing is awkward, it's difficult, etc. Now, I've known you guys now for 3 hours. I feel like I just known you for a long time. So I may be in Louisiana, I'm coming over to the house, okay? So don't act like you don't know me. All right? This change thing is hard, folks. But you will not and cannot have earned the right if you don't begin to change yourself. And it starts right now, in this room, right now. Now you're probably wondering, the hardest thing that you're going to have to diagnose is, well, what do I need to change? I'm really successful. Look at the scoreboard, hammerhead. I mean, look at it. I'm President's Club. I do all the right things. I'm great. Granted, so do the folks at BlackBerry. Remember those guys? They were awesome too. Anyone use a typewriter? My man over here raises his hand. Remember those typewriters? They went like whoosh. How about a black and white TV? Got one of those in the crib? So what happens, right, when you don't change?
Come obsolete.
Yeah, there's a bad rendition of Jurassic Park you end up in, playing some weird part, right? Right? That's what happens. You see, if we like the direction as human beings, we call it an opportunity. When we don't like it, we call it change. Think about that concept. Because in that is magic. And in that thought process, think of your physicians, right? Is this a real opportunity or is this change? Now, if it's an opportunity, if it feels right, you'd think people would run to it, right? But there's risk in that anytime you go out on the edge, right? I mean, seriously, for a doc sometimes to change his surgical practice or prescribing practice, I mean, it feels like you're on the edge here, right? I mean, really, doc, you don't have to hold on that tight. Really, we've been around a while. I mean, we actually have, there's some efficacy here with this stuff. I mean, we didn't just put it in the garage in Miramar and I'm rolling along here with the pretty teeth. But think about that. But all that aside, guys, ultimately, we got to figure out their needs, right? Because if you're going to influence someone, it helps if you have an idea of what their needs are, right? Because ultimately, what's the basic brick and mortar of all relationships. What do you need to really get connected with someone? Anyone think?
Trust.
Trust. You got to get them on the trust bus. Do people give out trust easy? How long does it take? It varies, right? Do you think most of your docs trust reps?
I don't trust.
Am I? That's classic. I'd never change for that clown, right? So we got to get them on the trust bus, but in order to do that, we got to figure out the needs. I mean, when you walk in, notice the doc open up the kimono and go, oh, here are my needs. Not literally, you guys. You guys are unbelievable. Let's talk figuratively for a second, all right? That would be awkward, like that dance move, right? On times 10. Hey, whoa, cowboy, hey, right? But do they open up the kimono and say, hey, here's my needs. Can you help me? I'm bleeding. Do you have a Band-Aid? No, right? Because they don't trust most reps. But ultimately, we got to figure it out. So I'm going to ask you right now, and I'm not saying this all tongue-in-cheek. At your core, at your absolute core, do you fundamentally believe that you have products that can change the planet?
Yes. Yeah.
Say it with a little bit here. Come on.
Yes.
Yes. So you actually have products that can change patient outcomes. Do you?
Yes.
So do you have that same mojo and conviction when you go in and he or she starts to push back?
Yes.
You do?
Yes. Yeah.
When you go to a patient, we got a mission.
We get thrown out.
You get thrown out a lot when you get too animated? So think about that for a second. Because ultimately we want to figure this out. So what I'd like us to do is, as a group exercise at your table, the first 3 groups right here. I want you to take your clinicians. Again, holistically, all the clinicians, just clinician as a, as a general statement. I want you to work at your tables and figure out, write down the top 3 or 4 business needs of your clinicians. These 3 tables right here. I want you to talk about it as a group, collectively, group think. All of us are smarter than one of us. Then in the back 3 here, right? I want you to work on personal needs. So you got clinicians. What are some of their personal needs? Now, it could be stuff that you've identified. What do you think, indeed? Do clinicians have personal needs? Yes. Do they have business needs? Yes. Are they important?
Yes.
All right, so everyone understand what I'm asking you to do? I want you to work with your table. The first 3 groups, you're going to talk to the folks at your table, and I want the top 3 business needs, and in the back, the top 3 personal needs. All right, we'll give you like 10, 12 minutes. All right, let's go.
You're going to get some good footage.
I don't know.
You're going to be blown away. You're going to want to go buy that setup. So you're going to want to buy that setup for my camera. You're going to want to get you one. Video record everything we do here.
How much time we have? Oh, okay. So 25 minutes.
Yeah, so we break for lunch at 12:15.
So I'll get to that.
I can take it through here if you need to. You just stretch it out as you can.
All right, we'll play later. And I'm going to have them come up and present too. Yeah, I'm going to stretch this thing out.
What are you doing? You're a rock star. Wait till you see the video.
Is it cool?
Because I'm following you and I'm bringing it in.
We have to show them how to do that. I haven't been doing that for you.
Well, you can next time.
Yeah, okay. It's actually nice co-facilitating, dude.
Oh, it really is. It's because they get 2 different vibes, but we both do our thing. And so it shifts the dynamic.
Yeah, it's like this kind of like yin and yang type thing.
I'm going to get a copy made of this for us.
Okay. restroom real quick. Okay.
We nailed it.
Of course you guys did. That's how you roll, right?
Personal meetings.
What's the name of the crew?
Tell already, huh?
The mob. Oh, with the hats, the mobsters. I got it.
Oh, yeah. Let's remind me. We do whatever it takes.
When did you guys pick up the mobster motif? Recent?
Midwest.
Like, is this been going on for like a while?
They just reconfigured the territory, so this is a new region. So yeah, we started in October.
Chicago's at the heart of our region.
Oh, okay. So a little Al Capone, little Lucky Luciano, a little that. Anyone watch Boardwalk Empire?
No.
HBO? Oh, I'm a loser. Sorry.
Yeah, I don't have cable.
I can't afford it.
It is expensive.
There's nothing on there.
It is, but I don't believe in it.
Oh, I watch it on the road.
That's what
Yeah.
Harold says. He goes, you watch it on the road, so no worry.
So did you guys nail it?
I think so. I think we got a pretty good.
Did you nail it enough to come up to the front of the room and tell all your teammates?
Say that again? Sure.
If you only want 3, top 3.
If you got a couple more, that's fine, but no, you didn't have to do more than 3. But I want the absolute best. I mean, the absolute ones. They're like, if you had to stand on top of the table and tell the world.
So you really know, because all their personal needs are different. Probably the same.
How much you want to bet?
You think? You don't think so?
No, they may. I don't know. I don't know your group well enough. Why are they connected, by the way? Are they like twins or something?
Because Canada and the West are all kind of one team.
Oh, right, yeah.
Big group. 2 groups.
Oh, okay. But they didn't want to sit next to each other. They just wanted to be connected, like?
No, they are all under the same mandate.
Oh, I got it.
Really, nobody else wanted the Canadians. So. they got
They got their own table.
I mean, they are from Canada. I mean, seriously. All right, brother. Thanks.
Would it could be a go? Let's see.
Hey, you guys. Is my mic on? Hey, so I don't want more. You can do more than 3, but I just want the absolute best and nothing less. Because 2013 is about what?
Celebrate.
Celebrate.
It's about awesome.
Average is overrated, right? Anyone came here today and said I can't wait to be average? Man, I can't wait to get mediocre today. So you guys still working and you all set? Where are you guys going? You ready? All right, so how challenging was that to do?
Not very.
Who said not very? Who's cocky?
Yeah, it's going to be the cool.
All right, Nicole, what's the #1 fear in America?
Right now, the economy.
All right, beyond this year, what's usually the #1 fear? Yes, what's number 2?
What was that one?
What's the #1 fear in America? She said public speaking. What's number 2? Death. So what does that mean? That if this was a funeral, most of you would rather be in the coffin than give the eulogy. So think about that concept for a second. That's how pronounced fear is. But see, since we've all collectively agreed that we're going to get uncomfortable next year, right? Because when we're uncomfortable, what are we doing? Growing. And if public speaking is uncomfortable, what do we want to do? We want to jump into it, right? Right? I mean, if you learned how to swim in the baby pool when you're an adult, I mean, beyond awkward, you're probably not going to make the swim team, right? If you're touching your little toes, right? So I want to see if someone here from one of those 3 groups would like to come up here and own this thing and tell the world why they're, again, I think that you guys in the back did personal, right? What the absolute 3 best personal needs are for a clinician. I mean, they're so pronounced that if we had some stone like the 10 Commandments or something, we could chip it in there, like sign it off and then maybe take a Facebook picture of it, put it out Facebook, maybe tweet it, you know what I mean? So who would like to come up here from one of those 3 back tables and tell your peers what the 3 most pervasive personal needs are for a clinician? I don't all run up here at once, I get it, I mean, seriously. And remember, my mother, she said, sharing is caring, sharing is caring. All right, I gotta own this, yes, get up here like this. I want you to get up here. And I want some enthusiasm. All right, there's only one caveat, because we're all about growth the next 3 days, right?
Yeah.
We're all about growth. So I don't know your style, man. What's your first name?
Nicole.
Nicole. Good to see you. We're not going to dance. I know she was a little nervous for a second because I'm awkward. All right, Nicole, I don't know how you normally present, but I want you to be a new you when you present it. I want you to, I'm going to get off.
Yeah.
I want you to own this and share it like you've never shared before. I want body language. I want excitement. I want everyone to just feel. But I want it to be you.
So I'm gonna bust it out and then I'm done.
Can you challenge her to be on? Can we give her some encouragement to bring it? Can we give her some encouragement? All right, come on.
I can't see. How can y'all see up here?
All right, so you got your mind right?
Do 2 hands.
All right, we want passion.
So we did personal needs of physician.
Passion, passion.
Hey, what was that look about? Hey, did y'all see that look? She's like, do you know her?
Yes.
Oh, I was like, wow.
She's a talker. I'm a doer.
I love you. Love. So for personal needs, the 3 top we did time, money, and credibility. Because #1, a physician's time, we all know, is very precious. That time actually ties into the money and the credibility. So that's why we put that as #1. Money, even though you would think that was a business need, it's still a personal need because he's putting his time, his money into his business, which is personal. So if he doesn't have that time and money, he doesn't have his business. And then #3 is credibility. If you can't back up what you're doing, then you're going to lose your money, lose your practice, and then you'll have all the free time in the world to do whatever you want.
What do you guys think?
Those are the 3.
All right, hey. How does it feel to have some sunshine? You like it up here?
Yeah, if I was getting paid more.
Oh!
If you would sell more.
Oh! Well, I love this group. You know what I mean? Just like playing tennis, and you serve it, serves it right back even harder. So any other ideas? The guys in the back, did you have anything else that was different than hers?
Yeah.
What did you tell me before I came out? What did you say? What did you tell me?
I said all of us should have probably the same answer, and you said no. You were right.
Didn't hear.
I'd say it louder. I like to know when I'm right. Say it a little louder.
Okay, he's temporarily right.
Oh!
Because I said that we probably would all have the same top 3 things, but we really don't.
Well, we'll just let that. We'll table that right now for a second. But what did you have in the back?
Let's see. We had professional image, want to be a good doctor, want to make a difference, want to help. Anything else? They want to be regarded as a good doctor, they want to be treated respectfully, and they want to make a difference.
I did say top 3, right?
Yeah, but that's
Oh, that's right. You're the overachieving region. That's right. Sorry.
don't you forget it.
Yeah, that's right. You guys always. That's right. So why the dramatic? Seriously, I mean, why would there be a difference? You all experience, right? You make sales calls, see clinicians. I just said personal needs. Why would there be a difference in the room, you think? No, I mean your perception of a clinician's personal needs versus that group's perception. Why would there be a difference? I heard they're in California, they wear funny hats. Oh, I mean, what? Does that strike you as odd though? Or?
Perception.
Yeah, this perception thing. This perception thing is so pronounced, I'll tell you a story. The other night, my bride of 16 years, you guys probably know this deal. We were going out, I was taking her out for a nice little dinner, you know, taking her out to a chain restaurant. I'm not a big spender. No, I'm kidding. We were going out to a little dinner, you know. Yeah, exactly. No, I'm more of a Fridays guy, okay? I mean, you know. So we're going out for dinner, right? And you guys know this drill. So we're going out for dinner, and my bride, she's getting dressed, right? You know, she's putting on her Saturday best. The babysitter's coming over. You know that drill. The kids, I have 4 kids, by the way. The 4 kids are running around all crazy, all chaotic. The babysitter's here. My wife's getting dressed. I'm putting on my skinny jeans. No, I don't wear skinny jeans. Just want to see if you ever paid attention. Can you imagine 6'5" and bald with skinny jeans on? Be serious. All right. So I'm putting on my jeans, right? And I'm getting my groove on. I like to get my groove on before I go out, right? So my wife looks up to me at that moment. I mean, it was at that like precious moment. I do this for a living. I mean, I get paid, right? She looks up and she says, "Sweetheart, how do I look?" How do I look? Now I'm going to defer for a second to Socrates over here, because he is wise beyond his years. What would you have said?
Nothing. I tried to sneak out of the room.
Oh! How would that have gone, ladies? Would that have gone over well with you? Anybody else? What do you think the normal response for someone who has a little bit of emotional intelligence? Great, fantastic, smoking, hot, all that stuff, right? You know what I said? I said, in my moment, I was rushed. Maybe the skinny jeans were too tight, I don't know. I said, "You look okay." Oh.
Just okay?
And as the O was coming out of my mouth, I was trying to catch it. You ever do that? You're like, "Oh." And like the landmine blew me up. And I knew at that moment, right, when I said it, right, because language is important. And her response was classic. And you guys, ladies, will know that. She goes, what do you think she said?
Just okay.
Okay, what else do you think she might have said?
She might have
Think she hit me?
Enjoy your dinner.
Exactly. I'm not hungry right now, right? She said, "Oh, you don't like my outfit." And what did I have to do? I was like, I like your outfit, I'm sorry. It's the best bouquet with cherries on top and all that stuff, right? I was trying to pick all that stuff up. But you know, I'd already just done my damage, right? I mean, I had already like killed myself, and I'm trying to dig my way out of my hole. So the biggest problem that I find, guys, and why I tell you that story when we're trying to uncover needs, is this powerful concept, and Dwayne mentioned it, between perception and intent. So when you go into a doctor's office, your intentions are good, right? You're there to do the right thing. But the way the office staff and the clinicians perceive it is often very, very different. There's a delta between perception and intent. I mean, you're coming from a great place, right? I mean, you're generally there, but the way they perceive it is different. That is fundamentally one of the biggest obstacles that I had when I was in the field. This breakdown in communication, this constant ambiguity. Because, to give you an example. Sorry, what's your first name?
John.
John. Now, I don't know John, but 3 hours now. Do you typically hang around people that you don't trust?
No.
When's the last time you picked up a hitchhiker?
Never.
Have you ever gone into Ralph's or Albertson and seen a guy in produce section and go, oh, dude, what's going on, man? You want to come over to the crib and hang out and watch the game?
No.
Exactly. Why? Beyond awkward like my dance moves, there's no trust. All right? And we said earlier that trust is right, the brick and mortar of the relationship. Do you think I'm going to let you in and trust you if I don't know your intentions? If I'm questioning your intentions, what usually happens? Yeah. Now they don't, I would assume the docs don't like get physical, right? I hope, right? I mean, like MMA is trying to choke you out in the room. That'd be a little awkward. You submit, tap out, dude, tap out, tap out. No, but they do it emotionally, don't they? Right? You could tell. You're talking to him and you could tell that he's in la-la land. He has no idea. He's just like, whatever. I mean, you know, thanks for the lunch or whatever you brought. You know, I can't have pens anymore, so I just got to act like I'm interested in a turkey sandwich. And by the way, Hammerhead, I got a turkey sandwich tomorrow and the next day. So you're not that special, right? And by the way, he went to a real deli and you went to the friggin' Panera. I mean, you loser. That's what he's thinking, right? You think you're cool because you brought lunch? Whoa, that's provocative, man. You're on the cutting edge of change here. Maybe you put the condiments on for him too, huh? Hey, here's a bib, Doc. Why don't you have me the spoon? You know what? Seriously, come on, be serious. So we've got to get really grounded in this concept of perception and intent. Because once you're aware of it and all that stuff we've been talking about today, right? Awareness is the first tenet. Because when you're aware of it, you can acknowledge it. And you can start to work on it. Or we can just go around and keep pretending, right? It's not an issue. Does anyone here have any relationships with docs when you know it's awkward but no one has the courage to really talk about it? Anyone have a relationship like you know the doc, you can tell he's not really into you or your program. He doesn't come out and say loser, right? But you can feel it. I mean, you get the whole vibe. It's just like, dude, I don't care if you were selling, you know what I mean, a light switch and the lights went out, I wouldn't buy it from you. So that's that uncomfortableness, right? So what I'm going to suggest to you, we're going to talk about later, but I just want to tee it up, is one of the things that changed my business and changed my whole mindset was this ability to have difficult conversations. Really difficult conversations. Now, they felt difficult for me because I had all this self-talk in the back of my head making them difficult. So I had two choices if I wanted to change my performance, right? I could either just keep pretending and going to the gym but never really getting on the treadmill or doing anything, or I could really dig down deep and have the courage because there's patients on the other end of that conversation that need what I have. See, meaning is the most powerful motivator of human behavior. If you don't believe me, where are most people on Sunday mornings? Why? Because they want to believe in something that's bigger than themselves. See, and I would argue right now, you guys are all right here because you're bound by something bigger than you. You don't have to be here, do you? No, obviously you need a paycheck. I mean, working for this company, you need a paycheck, but fundamentally you chose to be here because you really think this is the right place to make great stuff happen. There's There's a lot of pharma companies, a lot of device companies, aren't there? You've been here 19 years. I imagine you had a lot of recruiters call you for jobs, but you stayed here. And that whole thing of meaning is important. So once I got grounded in meaning, I said there is no way that I'm going to give up making me better, because at the other end of that, there's patients' lives that I can impact. And the only way that I can impact those patients' lives is I, as a sales professional, have to get better. I'm not good enough. Does anyone here think they're good enough? You have no room to get better? No, of course not. See, that's what this is all about the next 2 days, guys. You don't have to, you're not going to take 10 things out of this training, but if you take 2 things that fundamentally change the way you do business and help you perform better, wow. Look at the impact on the folks in your territory. So if you ever need a reason to get out of your car and go back in and have that difficult conversation, you just got it. If you need a tap on the shoulder to get better, we just gave it to you. You have it. You just got to let it out. So that's why this is so unbelievable and why I love salespeople. Because invariably we have to morph, right? I mean, because not every doc's created equal. Some are different. We learned that today. I mean, as you were going through the behavior styles, I imagine that some of the docs, you might have been thinking like, this doc's a doer, you know, he's this or that. Any one of us having that conversation? Maybe. But ultimately, we also have buyer types. Right? Certain buyers need certain stuff. Do we have some docs that need relationships? Right? How do we know that? They tell us, hey, sorry, rep, time out. Forget all that data. I'm really a relationship doc. You need to change the script. You got to build some rapport with me. I like college football. X-nay on the data stuff.
They talk about it. They treat you that way. How they treat you is how.
Yeah. So one of the things that I too often find, and I'm not saying necessarily too often, is that we see things as we are, not as they are. So think about that concept. We see things as we are, not as they are. Because I'm really comfortable being me. So why should I have to adapt or morph or change my style to meet the needs of him or her? I mean, how dare he ask me to change, right? Would you say to be what?
Because you want to sell something.
And if I sell something, what comes out of that? Obviously you get paid in quota and the champagne and strawberries and the Hawaiian vacation, all that other stuff, right? You've helped somebody. That's right. So as we transition here to the buyer types, there's 4 here, and we're going to plug them into your world right now. Are there certain docs right now, or even the office, and again, I don't know your territories, who are very dollar and cents driven? Say it again?
Yeah, I mean, we're in hospitals, so the purchasing.
Yeah. So purchasing people are awesome, aren't they? They really care about patient outcomes, don't they? I mean, doesn't that come up like in the first 2 minutes? So how's this dramatically going to help my guy could care less, right? He's like, what? So we got those folks. So again, we have to be cognizant of that, our skill set, right? How about the technical buyer? We have some of those folks who like to get in the weeds and want to find out everything about everything. Why is it blue and red and green? And where'd you manufacture it? And all that stuff. Oh, those are great conversations, right? Awesome. I mean, so think about these 2 buyers and think about your own behavior style. Like you want to build relationships. I want to talk about crawfish and LSU and all that nonsense, right? And he's asking me ad nauseum over and over and over. And it looks like that bad dance montage you saw earlier, right? And then I walk out of the call and I'm like, man, that guy, what do I say? He's never going to change. He's never going to change. Your boss calls, hey, well, let's go see him. No, it's a waste of time, boss. He ain't going to change. He's been doing the same old stuff all the time. But what do we really need to be saying? Who needs to change? Yeah, but I mean, honestly, do we usually have the emotional kind of wherewithal to take a deep dive at that moment and say that? I would argue 80% of us don't. What do? We rationalize, we make excuses. Oh, I got to go to the next call, you don't understand. I get it, folks, I felt it. I know what it's like. And then we got our user buyer and our executive buyer. And I'll go into more details. The point of this slide, folks, is that all docs come like in Baskin-Robbins, different flavors. And I would argue in the 21st century, if you want to be a highly functioning medical sales rep, you got to be able to play in all buckets. Now, in the good old days, I was just in Arkansas, right? I was just in Arkansas, and he was talking like this. I loved it. He said, and I was giving him my love, and I was getting, he said, Deb, it was a V, Devin, but he said, Deb, you just don't understand round here. That just wouldn't work round here. And I'm not making fun of folks in Arkansas. That's not my point. It's called round here thinking. How much round here thinking do we have in our heads right now? You wouldn't understand, boss. That just wouldn't work round here in my territory.
That's the way we always do it.
Right? You wouldn't understand it, Diana. You only been here 3 days. That won't work out here in Ithaca or Portland or San Antonio. How many of us are guilty of saying that? Let's be vulnerable for a second. Huh? That we've said that. It would never work down here. See, my mother, wise beyond her years, is no longer here. She said, son, there's no such thing as bad weather, only inappropriate clothing. So think about that and how that applies to you. That office or that territory where you're struggling, that's bad weather. What are you doing to put on in the morning to make sure that you're emotionally prepared to deal with it? Because trust me, I have felt it. I have sat in my Ford Taurus in my early days in the parking lot, banging my head onto the steering wheel, just so frustrated because he or she would not give me any airtime. I'm not the only one who's ever done that, or just, no. Anyone know what I'm talking about? And so what do? We start to discount and rationalize. So I get it. So what I want us to do here, and I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time on these slides here, in the few minutes that we have left before we go to lunch, I want us to work real quickly as a group again, just real quick, because I love when you guys do group work because you don't get to see each other a lot. I think there's a lot of great ideas that come out of that. I want you guys to take a financial, all right, an office, clinician. What are the reasons, what are things that are important to this type? You got it? A financial buyer. And right here, the home office, a technical buyer. I want you to give 3 reasons why he or she, what's important to him, what's on his radar screen. Because remember, right, they're not coming in opening up the kimono and going, hey, I'm a technical guy, right? You guys love that. I mean, guys, figuratively, guys, figuratively. How about the user buyer, right? Who else is using it? All right, I don't want to be the only one using it. Who's binding site? I don't want to be that guy. I don't want to live on the edge, right? I need some references. I need some peers. Can you guys take user? Yeah. The executive buyer, you 3 in the back, since you seem not to you guys don't ever get them right together anyways, right? The executive buyer. You know who this guy is? The executive buyer is the guy who's on the speaking circuit. Do we have one of those docs? Hey, do you guys have a speakers bureau? I want to go around to all the conferences. I need some podium presence. I'm high profile. I mean, I did work at Sloan Kettering. You know what I mean? I mean, I was a resident at Mayo. You know that doc? You know who just thinks he's the cat's meow? Yeah. So could we do that as a group for 5 minutes? 3 reasons what's important to each of those buyers. Because we're going to start identifying, if we know what's important to them, we know how we can connect to them. Take 5 minutes.
Well, they do, yeah, they don't.
Is that good?
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, so I wrote it down. I've got
What's the lowest price I can get? Yeah, what's the best price?
Good show?
What's that?
Good show?
Yeah, cool. We're good, dude. So I'm only gonna get to. I'm probably gonna stop here. I mean, I guess I could get there. Maybe these two before. It just depends. 12:15. I don't know. I'll have to figure it out.
As soon as that, I would debrief that and pause it.
That's what I was gonna do.
Come back.
Yeah, because we got a good mojo going. Hey, and then we obviously need to connect on what the flow is going to be like the second half, obviously, with the role plays and all, but that's easy.
Yeah, that's fine. As soon as we get finished here, I'm going to go up to my room real quick, and then I'll come out to the result. We can brief and then go to lunch.
All right, so I'll be right here, because I'll check my email and stuff. What? Yeah, I'll do that. What's that? No. Okay.
Let's see what they got. And supposedly,
So just carry it to where you need it. They said it reflects it. Carry it to where you need it, and then shut it down when you're ready.
Okay.
Whatever makes logical sense for
You guys done? You guys done? I hear a lot of chatter. You're awesome?
You're awesome. Devin, you're awesome.
I'm awesome. Can I get some virtual awesome? Ah! Don't leave me hanging over here in the red. Just looking at me like you goofball. All right, you guys done?
No, but we'll pause.
I'll give you a pass because you're my partner. If there's ever like a Dancing for the Stars and they need someone from the life sciences, will you be my? She's like, yeah, not after that disaster. All right, so let's pull it in. I want to get a representative from each group up here. I told you, this is growth, baby. Growth, growth, growth. Who wants to grow? Who wants to grow? I want to grow. All right, come on up. Give her a round of applause.
Okay, for the financial buyer, we want to know how much money can you save me? What's my upfront cost and investment? And what's the best price you put me?
You guys you liking that? You can push back. This is a real right. Anything she missed? Yes.
we have some different things. We have.
We're doing all financial.
here, you have doctors, and you have the hospital. It's a totally different stuff.
We did doctor.
They did doctor. She did doctor. Does anyone else, not that you were going to do her work, but does anyone else just top of mind, stream of consciousness, think that there's something else that's important?
See me out.
All right, so real quick.
What's your room number?
Oh, whoa.
Don't worry, you won't shout.
Hey, is HR in here? HR in the house? All right, thank you. Hey, so I'm curious, was it a fierce debate? Did you come to like a kumbaya? Was it right away?
We're always like that. Always.
Is that how you guys roll?
We give group hugs and
Oh, you guys are the tree huggers? Got it. All right, how about here, guys? Who's going to come up? Come on out. Let's give a round of applause.
So this is from the headquarters.
I know, what is that? Before you start, what does that mean?
What it means, that's what's on the
Oh, okay, I thought it was like, like speaking from the, like the mountain, like Moses. The headquarters speaks, you listen.
HQ was on the table. So
Okay, got it. Your show.
So the 3 things for technical buyers are: does it work? Is it reliable? And how does it benefit my lab?
You guys like that? All right, hey, good job. All right. I'm curious though, how did you guys become spokesperson? Did you just volunteer or was it?
You go.
It's usually like one of these. Yeah, it's a great idea. You know what I mean? Like that. Right? All right, how about over here? What do you guys got? Give them a round of applause.
Hey, what's this chatter in the back?
The mic's on the podium too for you.
Being heard is rarely an issue.
All right, you rock on. Rock on.
Okay, user buyers are most interested in how well does it work. You guys took the wrong thing for technical. The user buyers want to know who's using it, who else is using it, what do we get out of it, how well will it function.
All right, hey. All right, so we got both finally in the back, right? We got the West Coast and the Chicago Mafia, right? Al Capone's crew back there. How about someone else come back and do the executive buyer? Who wants to come up here and get some sunshine?
I'll do it.
Hey!
Is this where I start singing then?
Oh, that'd be awesome.
Anyway, we looked at the executive buyers, and clearly to them it's the strategic growth of that facility. So importance for them was they want to be the centre of excellence. They want to be the reference lab. So how they grow that. But they want to make best profitability as well. So they almost are going to do large volumes, but they're going to expect a lower price. And they have a long-term vision. They don't want to be the flash in the pan, they want to grow and expand.
You guys argue it? All right. I have to say that doesn't everything just sound better with an accent? I mean, that dude could have been like talking like whatever. I'd have been like, absolutely. How do I get on this binding site thing? I mean, that just sounds cool.
You should hear his new start me up.
I don't know your role, but hey, you may be the closer, brother. I mean, seriously, keep that thing rolling. So, as we creep at lunch here, right, talking about all the stuff we've talked about today, anything jump out at anyone? Why do you think all this is so important? What are some themes that have jumped out this morning to you? We've talked about a lot of stuff too, right? I mean, we bit down on the pizza and those slices were huge. Yes, sir?
Be aware of your audience and be prepared to change.
Yeah, okay, did you guys hear that? Beware of your audience, Be prepared to change and grow. My old boss used to say, and he was kind of crass, old military guy, I went to West Point. You know, I was all nasty, spitting tobacco in my car. It always missed the cup and hit the bottom of the, you know, that deal. But I was like, hey, but I was like 24. I was too nervous. This was my first job. What am I going to say, dude? You know, like, don't do it. I was just like, and he'd leave and I'd clean it up. That's another story we'll talk about later. But he used to say, grow or go. And it sounded kind of harsh, grow or go. And what he meant in his own little U.S. military academy was, right, just nasty with the tobacco, was you've got to grow. Grow or do something else. Because this is a tough job, guys. I know it's this, but this is tough. I mean, look, I mean, how many people that you know going to work have to bite down on this and do it in the fly? Right? I mean, you go into an office and you're having to evaluate doer, tasker, all that, executive bar. I mean, you don't get like this prep time, right? I mean, you're prepared, but you have to evaluate on the fly, right? I mean, it's like going into combat, like an aircraft, like a Navy pilot. So grow or go. Just think about that concept. I'm not asking you to quit. I'm just saying conceptually, whatever that is. Hopefully you don't run out of here and quit. What I'm suggesting to you is, if you're not willing to step over the line and do something else, then that's a conversation you got to have with yourself. Or you're going to get the same what you always got. What other themes came out of here today? Anybody else? I think you had your hand up, Greg.
Yeah, I'd say it's really about keeping the focus on the customer, not on yourself.
What do you guys think? Yeah? Because at the end of the day, that's where it really matters, right? And to add more value to the customer, what else has to happen? Yeah. Adapt.
A new dance move.
Say it again?
You ready to learn a new dance?
Yeah. That's why, there was purposeful why that awkward dance motif you saw. Because it's okay if you're really good at breakdancing. But what if the doc wants to do the waltz? Does that fit? Not so much.
But if you relax and let it happen, it could be fun.
Do tell more. Yeah. Yeah, you guys love the kimono, huh? No, but
Seriously, if you can change and learn something new and make it successful, then it's fun.
Yes, and if it's real, it's not staged, and you're just comfortable. So the theme, guys, there's a couple themes here before we wrap, and I think maybe if you guys want to say something here, I get off the stage, is that if things are going to change, we've got to change, and at the end of the day, you guys nailed it, right? We have an opportunity to change things and influence, and it's about providing best in class at the customer. Because if we can do that, we literally can leave our footprints on the planet. I mean, how many people actually have an opportunity that their legacy could be that they've made something standard of care? And that hundreds of thousands or thousands of lives. I mean, I would love for us to get back here when you guys dominate in 2013, and if you dominate whoever, and we look back and we're like, you know what? 2012 we sat there, look at 2020. We've affected that many patients. And it was because of us that this world is a better place. It was because I was willing to stick my neck out on the edge and get uncomfortable. And it's because of that he or she's a little different. Now you may think that's really big and hairy and audacious and crazy, but I honestly think that. And guys, I honestly think you have an opportunity to change things. So, there was a lot we covered today. Now what happens the rest of the time, we take some of that stuff and we're going to start to integrate it. We're going to start to apply it. In other words, we're going to start to get uncomfortable. Are you ready to grow?
Yes.
Yeah. I heard a yes and a
Wait,
right.
those are the doctors that had to grow.
Well, they've got to grow too, but you got to grow along with them. So any questions here before we close out and I get off stage here and Greg comes up? Anything from me? You guys in a good place? Everyone good? All right? All right.
All right, thanks to Devin and Dwayne. It was a great morning. I hope you guys had as much fun as I did. So, lunch is in the Palm Terrace, someplace we can have breakfast, and We're going to get started at 1:15 sharp. All right? So,
Jody, go to your room.
yeah, right away. You see your turn off the thing.
Which one?
Not the big one, this one.
Fuck the...
Monos,
I think it's that. Look, right there, right there.
You guys are unbelievable.
And that one belongs to her.
You give it back?
Yeah, just for now.
great job.
Oh, thank you so much. I enjoyed it. We had a bunch of fun. Bunch of fun. Working on getting you that reference.
Okay.
I sent it out to my master trainer. It's in the book we used to give out when we do negotiations, and we always referenced it. I'm just being the talker. I've never really dug deep to see.
I'd love to read that.
Oh yeah, totally.
That'd be really interesting. And then you have a negotiation class too. How long is that?
It's we do it in 1 day or 2 day format. I highly recommend the 2 day because in that course of 2 days you get to break into teams or one-on-one and negotiate 5 to 7 times.
Wow, that'd be really cool.
Oh my, it is so fun. It's so interactive.
Do you have it for, like, if one person wants to do it?
Yeah, we do public classes.
You do public, okay, because I'm not sure if it would be something they would do for everybody here.
Well, go check it out, but you could go into bakercommunications.com and just check across the country. We do them all over the country, and wait till one comes to your area or flat, whatever, and then go back and report on it. It's a beautiful thing, and I think the situation that we all find ourselves, if I would have, at the beginning of my career, if I would have gotten that training as opposed to sales training, I'd have been so much better off because it teaches you how to have real deep, difficult conversations.
Difficult conversations.
And move. As a matter of fact, we do a program called Handling Difficult Conversations, and the first part of the day is negotiations.
Yeah, because the two kind of go together.
Yeah.
Well, have you heard of that book, Crucial Confrontations?
I have not.
I had a class that was about, these folks wrote a book, and they also wrote, more recently, it's called Change Anything.
Hold on, bud. There you go. There you go. So when you black it out, it goes to the accelerate.
I black it out, right?
Yeah, black it out. Yep, there you go.
And then what do I hit next to get it back?
If you want to progress, hit the button. If not, just hit the blackout button again. Yeah.
Okay, dude.
That's your secondary. You got to get your mic from her.
Oh, yeah. You guys ready to jam?
Oh yeah. We were born ready.
Hey, so I need to get another mic, I guess. This is his.
So I'll go ahead and mic you up and turn you on right now, and you don't have to worry about turning anything on. And then I'll just mute you, and then when you're ready to talk,
Well, how do I let you know?
we'll see you go up there.
How about like this?
Yeah, like, it's really funny. Never seen that one.
Yeah, not too much, right?
Yeah. Only late at night.
I'm hilarious.
And so are I, right?
Absolutely you are.
Do you mind if I split this and I'm going to put your microphone one up here?
Also going to angle it, tape it to the back of your lapel so that it doesn't shift.
And it's already turned on, so you want to put that in your pocket, your belt loop.
And your cell phone is off, right?
No, but I'll put it over here. I'm leaving it up here.
Okay.
Yeah.
If you have Verizon and a non-iPhone, you're okay. Anything else, and
I have an iPhone.
yeah, you're posted.
Can you guys go back? Start getting everybody in, please, and grab your seats. You got it, bro?
Yeah, I'm good.
We have until 5:30, but if we don't make it to 5, that's okay.
Oh, if we don't make it till 5?
Right.
Oh, you said that?
Yeah.
They're okay with being done early, basically, right?
Say again?
They're okay with being done early?
Yeah.
Oh. No, we have to stay the whole time. Yeah, right. You have nothing better to do, right?
Eye contact and show me I'm awesome.
Hey.
Go ahead.
You kicking it off, right?
Huh?
You kicking it off?
Yeah.
Okay. How you feeling?
Good.
Yeah.
So I've been running like a wild man.
I didn't even do the academy, dude. All my boys did. In Annapolis.
Yeah.
I didn't even know that when I was taking the dig at the fucking cadet. Did you watch the game?
Oh yeah, of course.
Oh, that was awesome, dude. I thought Army had a chance this year too.
Yeah, I know. I thought it was looking like all the breaks were going the right way for them.
Yeah. I almost went to Annapolis myself.
Yeah?
I grew up in D.C. and I played hoops.
Cool.
Yeah. My father's in the Air Force, but either way.
Is your small pack on? Is your small pack
I had both on.
You're both on? Yep. Your team? Is your team? We're good. Cynthia? Carl? You got anybody? Please find one and bring them. Okay, wait. Officers? Too short. There they are. We're good. Okay, hope everyone enjoyed lunch. So the plan for the afternoon is Devin's going to kick back off again, and then we'll have a break mid-afternoon. We will wrap up, thank you, sometime before 5:30, and that'll give you all time to go relax a little bit before the regional dine-arounds tonight. So, all right, Devin?
All right, thank you. All right, how you guys feeling? Yeah, I noticed, can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
I noticed though when I came up there for lunch, no one would scoot over and let me sit down, but other than that, I mean, it's all good, right?
Don't take it personally.
The president had to come up and welcome me and say, hey, you could sit next to me. Everyone else was like, easy, bald man, ixnay on the sit-nay, right? I get it. So we had a good group. So we're gonna keep moving around a little bit, keep you guys flowing. So we've been talking about customer profiles. We've been talking about behavior styles, Johari window. What I want to transition, talk a little bit about segmentation and customers. We're going to put them in 3 buckets. If I say intrinsic, does that mean anything to anybody? So think about a customer who's, if you had to say customers, these customers are intrinsic. What does that mean? Does that resonate with anybody?
Something that is so much in themselves, just very close.
Yeah. So if you think about that for a second, how would that potentially relate to you guys from a product standpoint in their view of products in general?
They don't share information with you, very hard to get information out of them.
Yeah. Do we have folks in the lab like that? They, unlike me, they don't want to open up the kimono. Do we have folks like that? Yeah. So also what you'll find with intrinsic folks, they look at products. All products are kind of created equal. So there's very little differentiation between products. So your stuff's great, his stuff's great. In other words, it's kind of a commodity. They don't really see much differentiation at all. And that can be a challenge when you sell best in class, right? And which you do, right? So you go into the lab, you got you got your game face on, right? You're doing all the right stuff. You had that conversation like we talked about before. You don't bang your head on the steering wheel, but you get your mojo, you're all ready. You go in and you have a conversation. You can tell by the questioning that he or she is primarily concerned about one thing. What might that one thing be? Price? You ever have anyone who just wants to talk price? Hey, that's great, all that stuff, man. I mean, I love all that stuff, but why don't we get back to the bottom line, the price. And what happens when he brings up the price pretty early in the conversation, he or she? How quickly, just think your worst person in the lab. How quickly do they bring up price sometimes? First 2-3 minutes, 5 minutes, what?
Pretty quick.
So right away you're like, oh, price. So what is your reaction when you hear that? Someone. Did anyone here see The Karate Kid? The first one? You guys are like ashamed to say you saw The Karate Kid. Did you see? You saw The Karate Kid. You probably have it on your freaking iPad right now. Who saw The Karate Kid? Daniel's son, Mr. Miyagi. What was the first move he learned? All right, so when they bring up price, do you bring up your move? You bring on that, right? You start trying to wax on and wax off on the price. That is an intrinsic buyer, right? They treat everything on price. Do we want to win on price? No. Why? What happens when we just sell on price?
We lose our value.
Lose on price.
Yeah. And see, I have found that the way you start a relationship is invariably the way you lose it. So I'll give you an example. So if you go in and you win on price, do you really win, by the way? I don't know, it's kind of an oxymoron. I won on price. So it's just say, conceptually, you got the business, you won on price. The same way that you won that business is the same way you will lose it. Meaning when Hammerhead comes in from the competition and he drops the price, where's the loyalty go? To you or the price? The price. Yeah. Right? So think about that the next time you have an urgency to go that route. You are on a very slippery slope. Because if he or she, and most sales reps that I know want to win business, and if they have the wherewithal, what will they do if they're less experienced and don't sell value and all that stuff? They'll invariably try to cut what? The price. And then what happens to you? You're trying to play catch up, and then what would you do then if he cuts the price? What happens then sometimes? Hey, you ever had a customer call you up and say, hey, you know what, I love you. You mean a lot, I love all your stuff, but they came in here and they've whacked the price. It's that much different. I really want to stay with you, and I really care about you, and I appreciate all the stuff you do, but they have cut the price, so what are you going to do? Anyone ever tasted that conversation?
Yep. Yeah.
So what happens then?
Well, you got to reinforce the benefits of your product and the advantages. Make sure we're comparing apples to apples.
Apples, right?
Yeah, does that work?
It does.
Yeah, it's not a great conversation though, is it?
If we're including
nobody else.
But you're growing when you have that conversation.
Look at you, you were a quick learner. It's a growth moment, right? Boss, I lost the deal, but I certainly did grow. I'm not getting any business, but I'm growing, right? Yeah. No, obviously you're gonna push back, you're gonna try to defend it, but it's not a great call when you get that conversation with someone and you know where they're going, right? They say it. So that's an intrinsic. What's an extrinsic? What would be an example? And I'll explain this, but does that come to mind? What do you think on that? I'll tell you guys had 8. You're probably in that food coma thing. I get it, right? Ball man, stop with all the questions. Say it again? Delivery problems. Outside. Yeah, so they see value they see value outside the product, and that value could be you, right? The service that you provide, that you actually provide value to them, and the lab, that they do see that beyond the product in and of itself, that you actually, whether years of experience or stuff that you do, that you actually create an environment that provides value. Now that obviously is in a much better position to be, as I fall off the stage, to be there than there, right? So is that accidental, extrinsic? If you get someone who sees value in you and binding side in the relationship, does that just happen, happenstance? You just happen to walk in, he goes, hey, I'm an extrinsic buyer. Really appreciate the sales process. I mean, you're really bringing it today.
That's what you show them.
You have to sell yourself.
All right, so how do you sell yourself?
Like case and just bring something valuable every time you walk in the door.
All right, so she said value again, right? You bring something valuable. So let's all talk, because we don't get together that often, right? What's something valuable that you guys bring that no one else brings?
Hey, something they didn't know. Education.
All right, so the product. Beyond the product, though, what else?
Education today.
All right, education. Now keep in mind, I kind of left you hanging there because earlier we had personal, right, and we had different two groups of needs, right? So ideally, right, you bring something of value that addresses something they care about. Would that be fair to say that would be somewhat maybe important occasionally? So how do you know? So what else could we bring that's of value? I mean, when you walk in, you don't, again, say it's a, say it's a cold call. I don't know how many cold calls you do, but say you don't have a great relationship because he doesn't have all his, his trophies on the wall, so you can't default to that. And you're trying to connect. What else? I mean, if I put you guys, go ahead.
Continuing education.
All right, so it's continuing education, and they find that of value. So again, there could be a lot of things, but think about that when we continue to go to market. And lastly is strategic. And strategic is the buyer actually obviously sees value in the product, sees value in you and the value that you bring, but also sees value in a relationship with Bind Insight. That they feel like there's something different about the relationship with you. Now there's a lot of years of experience in the room. That is kind of the nirvana, right? When they just see that there's something about your organization and you, what you bring, that just feels different. Has anyone had a relationship like that? Would anyone be happy to share it with me? Does that happen over stance? Does that require work? How do you get it like that? Is that because marketing comes in, has a fancy brochure, and they got a nice color scheme, and it makes it go right? I mean, what is it? Diana's got great marketing stuff, right?
Definitely, yeah.
Well, how about the trade show booth? They came up to the trade show booth, and it was just like, whoa. Like how you roll at Bind Insight, right? So how do we, yes, ma'am?
There's multiple contacts. So you might have the initial contact at the booth, and you follow up after the meeting.
Yeah.
You send them literature that they would like. You go in and meet with them. So multiple contacts by phone, in person, email, and just establishing that relationship.
Yeah, yes.
Or the other company that has the total resources to support the customer throughout the entire process, whether it be pre-sale, but also post-sale, and then the clients that use the lab services, such as the physicians.
Yeah, so we would think that, and I assume that is awesome, and I imagine it is, but if I've never, I'll give you an example. Anyone here fly? Imagine you flew here, but fly regularly, unless you went horse and buggy. All right, has anyone here ever sat in first class? All right, so Miss, and we had a great conversation earlier, I don't remember your name. Patty. What was it like when you sat in first class, Patty?
I had plenty of space.
Yeah. What else? Give me some more adjectives for first class. What's it feel like?
Cocktails.
My man, cocktails, right? Yes. So you get on, right? You get in, and you guys know the dance. Well, first of all, I flew recently, right? And when I fly first class, which is not that often, my walk changes, my gait, I'm like, it's like, just a little bit, a little slower walk, because I want to soak up the first class experience, right? I don't rush me, I don't get it that often, so and I don't want the other people to touch me, in the back. So, with first class line up, right? So you know that drill, you line up and everyone's looking at you, and what do they have? First class envy. Oh, they're like, oh, he's probably wealthy, or something like that. You're like, oh God, I wish I was him. So they call it up, right? What do? You kind of walk up. All right, I could see him right now, right? I mean, he's like jonesing to get that seat, right? Can I help you? He sits down. The seat's what? Is it wider? Is it leather? May even call your name. Say, hey, would you like something to drink, right? And then what happens? And then the rest of the people, what do? They come on, and what do they walk through? Yeah, and so they start, and so I don't even look up at them. I don't even give them the dignity of eye contact. Right? Are you serious? I mean, I'm sitting there like this. I just literally, they wanted so badly to symbiotically get some of that first class loving, and I will give it to them. So I'm like this, I'm not even looking, playing on my phone. Phone's not even on, or whatever. So, but I'm weird and awkward. But, is it safe to say that the first class experience is different than the back of the bus?
Yes.
Right? And if you've ever flown first class, the next flight that you're not flying first class, what does that taste like? Oh, row 36, whatever, in the middle, and you have that awkwardness where you're trying to decide who has the armrest, and no one wants to say it, and like he or she's like leaning on you, like you're, hello man, I mean, seriously? Right? You know what I mean? And you're doing that dance, right? Or you get up to the bathroom and you had the armrest, and then when you come back, homeboy's got squatter's rights and he's like doing that deal. You guys know that dance? So to make the long story short, that story is first class feels different than coach, right? Well, if your customers in the lab have never had first class, never tasted it, never felt it, would it be necessarily intuitive for them once you present it or show it? Because we're a byproduct of our experience. So if I've never had a first-class sales experience in the lab, I've had 20 years of 36B fighting on the armrest where the latrine doesn't close. And the guy's in the back with the baby crying, and I'm on the red eye. So that's been my context for my sales experience. And now all of a sudden you come in and you provide first class. You would think that I would run to it, right? Does that always happen?
No.
Why?
The experience starts from the beginning. It doesn't start at the end. I mean, when you first walk in there, they haven't experienced any of these things.
Yes.
You have to, you have to start the process and take them through the process to get them to that point.
Correct. He's right. So context is king. If I have never gone through that process and I have no context what first class feels like, when you come in and provide a first class experience which feels different, I may not be able to understand or relate or connect to it. And when human beings can't connect or relate or they don't understand, what do we do sometimes? We shut down. And I start to question your intentions. And I'm not probably going to get on the trust bus with you if I'm questioning your intentions. Why are you asking me all these questions? You're spending so much more time trying to understand my business model, how you can provide value. I've had 20 years of reps just trying to tease out orders from me, and now all of a sudden you're actually oh, you're doing a Jedi mind trick, right? You know what I mean? Luke Skywalker's in the house. You're trying to work me, right, to get that same order. Because I've had that. The point of that story, folks, I'm not saying that what you provide first class is not good. It's awesome. But if I've never tasted it, it's going to be really hard for me sometimes when I bite down. And I'm going to question it. So just know that. When you present it and he pushes back, there's trust issues potentially. He doesn't get it. He's got no context for it. And that's where you come in. You provide the context for him to let him know that these are your intentions. Because he's constantly questioning your intentions. And that's the breakdown. Remember my wife and I? Remember that whole thing? Perception of intent, honey, what do I look like? Oh, wow. That thing? That happens all the time. So, that said, recap. Great, we're aware of it. Now what do we do about it? What do we do about it? I mean, ideally, What we don't want all our customers in the first bucket, do we want all price, just beating us up every day on price? Invariably, again, I'm not naive. People are going to want a good price. But ideally, you want to move people through the continuum where they really start to sense and feel that there's a strategic alignment between the company and their business, their lab. And if I had to call any one of you up here right now, all right, and I said, I'd like you to articulate to the group what that feels like or tastes like or would look like, would you be able to do it? Like, these are the data points. You know what I mean? These are the data points how I know when I am a strategic partner to that organization. Because ideally, if you're going to go on a road trip, it helps if you have a destination in mind. Unless you just want to go on one of those bad Chevy Chase vacations, just end up wherever. But don't some sales cycles feel like that? How many people right now got been calling the same lab year after year, month after month, and it's just the status quo, same old, same old, same old? They keep telling you the same thing, and you keep showing up doing the same thing, right? Hey, I'm back. Thanks for the cookies. I don't like chocolate chip. Okay, here's oatmeal and raisin. You know what I mean? So again, so think about that. I'm not challenging you right now to come up here and do it. But if we want to taste what good looks like, if this is first class, and we got customers who've never sat there, we got to figure out a way to show them what first class feels like. And I'm going to say it again. Information is never transformation. Just because you give me a bunch of information, oh, okay, where have you been all my career? Thanks for coming in, now everything feels better. Can we hug? So, what I want to talk about quickly is, do we have any folks in the room right now at this moment who feel like they've got a strategic relationship with an account, a lab? Think about it. And be hard on yourself, right? Be hard on yourself. Where you really feel, your heart of hearts, that they really feel like there's a strategic partnership between Binding Site and them. You add value to the organization, there's inherent trust, that there's not all that weirdness, ambiguity, that kind of lab talk where they just tell you what you want to hear and you pretend like it's real, but you know it's really not. You guys say yes? Yes. All right, so just start, so for those of you who don't have it, right, this is all about learning together. What would be some of the things that, if you had to put together a slide with your marketing guru, right, because she's going to create programs to create more of these so we can replicate them, right? And she's got to know what good looks like, right? So what would this look like? Give me some adjectives. Give me some data points. What does that feel like? All right, so let me call time out for a second. From a customer standpoint, what does it mean? Like, so partnership, what does that mean to the customer? Like,
well, but it doesn't, I mean, it's not always going to be 100% hunky-dory. They're not always going to be happy with you as a vendor. We know that.
Yeah.
So a partnership, any good partnership is going to be a give and take. So if they know they have a good partnership with you in the good times, and even in the bad times, you guys can work through things so they have that trust.
All right, do you use the word partnership?
No. With my customer?
Yeah.
Yes, I do.
Yes, I do.
I heard no, yes. I mean, language is important, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, it can't be arbitrary. Hey, I want to partner with you. That's great,
I
thanks.
don't say that on my first meeting.
No, I would hope not. No, but let's talk about this. If I'm challenging you, I'm pushing you out of your comfort zone, this is important. Because if we are going to rock and roll in 2013, you're going to take 2 or 3 of your best accounts and try to get them to this point, you got to have an idea of where you're going. So just humor me. What does that feel like to the customer? How would I know that I have a strategic relationship with Binding Site? How would I know it?
They'll help you solve problems.
Say it again?
They will help me solve problems.
All right, be specific. How do they help you solve problems?
How do we help them solve problems?
All right, so you help them solve problems. So they get in a pinch.
They've got a problematic sample, we'll get them through it so they can get the right answer, if it's a laboratory.
All right, got it. So I'm hurting, I'm bleeding, you have a Band-Aid essentially. You provide something that they can't, can they get it elsewhere?
No.
Is there anything that you provide that no one else provides here? Yes. Okay, that's where I was trying to get you to. What else is, what is that? What do you provide that no one else can? And is it significant to their needs? Because if you provide it, no one else too, but I could care less about it, okay, that's great, thanks.
There's a number of things that we provide that no one else does.
All right.
Now, Free Light, one of our tests, is something that no one else provides in the U.S. And even so, worldwide, there's another product.
And so when you say that and you come in and you say that to a customer, does he go, whoa? Because remember, I've never sat in first class, right? So just because you use first class language doesn't mean I'm necessarily going to know what you mean. And I'm pushing you guys on purpose. We know what we know. Remember what I said earlier? We see things as we are, not as they are.
Maybe they don't know what it feels like because they've never had a partnership.
Exactly. So who's ultimately responsible? Yeah, who's ultimately responsible for bringing them to the promised land in first class, for edging them along, to articulate like I did so badly what first class tastes like or feels like? You said sales?
The sales.
Yes. So can you articulate it?
So you start with a common goal, and you have to figure out what theirs is, and then you have to gain the trust by them. You prove to them that my goal is to help you reach your goal. You have to know what that is. You have to show them. You have to lay out a plan with them. Here's how we together are going to reach your Visitor Laboratories goal.
All right, did you guys hear that? And then our behaviors have to back that up, right?
And then when they get in trouble, you're still there, no matter what. And there also has to be open communication. And there will be times when you've earned the right to ask to go to the next step, and you openly communicate that, but only after you've helped them reach a couple of goals.
So you have some milestones along the way. And be totally honest here. Open up your kimono, since we're all over kimonos today. Right? How many of your folks really, really feel if you ask them that they have a partnership with you? Do you think they really, really feel it, or you just, I mean, I know they do, but, you know, I mean, do you ever talk about it?
Yes.
Okay.
We have an example of that right now.
And where do you, is it part of the sales process at a certain point, like when you're dating, like a certain point, you know what I mean? But when can you really talk about real stuff? Because usually in a sales relationship, there's that weird phoniness in the beginning where everyone kind of pretends like I'm interested, and you do this, and I say this, and you do that. When can you get all rid of that?
But you have to not do that. You don't start there. That's not where you go.
Oh, so you're going to come at it real and raw, huh?
No, but you come in and immediately, I mean, they know it's the same thing, you know, the known, the unknown. They know what you're trying to do. We know that they're trying to, keep their budget on screen. But you be honest and real. You take the first vulnerable steps. So you go in and you say, I have this product, we know that, but I want to find out about you.
Yeah.
But you have to back it up. You can't just say that. You have to go back and visit them in person. You have to really find out their goals. Then you have to, act on it.
All right, so you nailed it. You used the word which I love, which salespeople, it's really hard for them to say, vulnerability.
Yeah.
When people get vulnerable in front of you, what happens?
You stop it.
I mean, most guys, it's really, really hard to get vulnerable. Why?
It's not what we do.
I mean, because I went to the Naval Academy. I mean, that's, I'm tough, right? I'm rough. But think about it. If I have enough wherewithal, feel confident about enough that I can literally get vulnerable in front of you, doesn't mean I'm weak, does it?
No. Doesn't
mean I'm overly sensitive, does it? Sometimes. What could it suggest, though? Trust. See, because if I'm going to ask him to trust me to be a partner, if you think he's going to initially, if he's never tasted first class, to put it out there, you've got to risk it. You've got to put yourself out there sometimes if you want to change the relationship. So what I said earlier, that's kind of a difficult conversation. So one of my favorites, I'll tell you, is this. So we'd have a conversation. I'd say, Doc, in this case it would be a doc because that's the world I come from. I'd say, hey, Doc, can I get a few minutes of your time? Yeah, Devin, that's cool. He'd just yes me to death. I mean, he loved me, but he'd never use any of my stuff. You ever have those guys?